Bhopal in 1984 was a city of lakes and contrasts. Historic mosques stood beside modern buildings, and life moved at a slower pace. It was the capital of Madhya Pradesh, quietly growing as people arrived seeking work. At its edge stood the Union Carbide pesticide plant, built to produce savine. The factory promised jobs, drawing shanty towns close to its walls. Few suspected the danger stored inside. By the early 1980s, cost-cutting led to reduced staff and neglected safety systems. Minor leaks were ignored, warning signs went unheeded. The plant became a silent threat. Life continued as usual, unaware of the risk. The factory was just another part of the landscape. No one imagined it would soon be the site of the world's worst industrial disaster. The city was on the brink of a nightmare, unprepared for what was coming. Bhopal's beauty masked a looming catastrophe. The city's fate was sealed by a combination of ambition and neglect. The stage was set for disaster. The people of Bhopal slept, unaware of the danger just beyond their doors. The countdown to tragedy had begun. On December 2, 1984, a cold night settled over Bhopal as disaster unfolded inside the Union Carbide plant. The factory stored tons of methyl isocyanate, MIC, a highly toxic, volatile chemical. That night, water entered tank E610, triggering a violent chemical reaction. Safety systems meant to prevent such an event had been shut down or neglected. The tank overheated, pressure soared, and just after midnight, a safety valve burst. A massive cloud of toxic gas erupted, blanketing the city. The gas, heavier than air, hugged the ground and drifted over densely populated neighborhoods. For 2 hours, over 40 tons of poison seeped into homes, turning Bhopal into a gas chamber. The city slept as the silent killer spread. The world's worst industrial disaster had begun, not with an explosion, but with a deadly, invisible cloud. The safeguards had failed, and the consequences would be catastrophic. The people of Bhopal had no warning, no chance to escape. The city's fate was sealed in the darkness. The poison moved swiftly, changing lives forever. In a matter of hours, Bhopal would be transformed. The nightmare had arrived. The gas arrived, without warning, a silent killer. Survivors woke to burning eyes and choking lungs. Aziza Sultan recalled, "It felt like fire in my chest. I couldn't breathe." Panic swept through the darkness as families fled blindly. The air itself was poison. People fell in the streets. The gas attacked lungs and eyes. Champadevi Shukla remembered, "We just ran. We didn't know where." The city's animals died alongside its people, the streets littered with bodies. The gas was inescapable. The memories haunt survivors. That night, Bhopal became a city of fear and loss. The poison left a trail of devastation. For Bhopal, the nightmare was only beginning. Dawn revealed a city transformed by horror. Bodies lay in the streets, the air was thick with the stench of death and chemicals. Hospitals overflowed with victims. Doctors had no idea what they were fighting. The official death toll was over 2,000, but the real number was far higher. Medical staff treated symptoms, blindly lacking information about the gas. Union Carbide downplayed the leak, calling MIC a mild irritant, delaying proper treatment. The city's administration was paralyzed, no disaster plan, no clear leadership. Police and first responders were themselves affected by the gas. Mass funerals and cremations began as the scale of tragedy became clear. The city ran out of shrouds for the dead. The tragedy did not end with the gas. Survivors faced a lifetime of suffering. Bhopal was changed forever, its people left to cope with loss and confusion. The world watched in shock as the story unfolded. The disaster's aftermath was chaos, grief, and unanswered questions. The city's wounds would not heal quickly. The official response was slow and chaotic. Ordinary citizens became rescuers, carrying the sick to overwhelmed hospitals. The government was unprepared, lacking equipment and training for a chemical disaster. Union Carbide refused to share vital information, citing trade secrets. Doctors improvised, some using cyanide antidotes with success, but confusion reigned. Volunteers and soldiers collected bodies, often without protective gear. Mass graves and funeral pyres burned day and night. The city mourned as it struggled to cope with the scale of loss. Union Carbide's response was evasive. Relief funds were minimal, and the company denied responsibility. CEO Warren Anderson was briefly arrested, then allowed to leave India, never to return. Survivors felt betrayed by both the company and the authorities. The disaster exposed deep failures in corporate accountability and government preparedness. The people of Bhopal were left to pick up the pieces. The world condemned Union Carbide's actions, but justice remained elusive. The tragedy's impact would last for generations. The system meant to protect had failed utterly. The struggle for justice began in the aftermath, but progress was slow and compensation inadequate. The 1989 settlement with Union Carbide amounted to a few $100s per victim. Dow Chemical, which later acquired Union Carbide, denied further responsibility. Survivors faced chronic illnesses, respiratory problems, blindness, and birth defects. The toxic legacy affected second and third generations. The city's healthcare system remains overwhelmed. The abandoned plant was never properly cleaned up. Hazardous waste still contaminates soil and water. New generations are poisoned by contaminated groundwater. Activists like Rashida B. and Champa Devi Shukla continue to fight for justice, medical care, and a proper cleanup. The factory stands as a monument to corporate negligence. The consequences of the disaster did not end with the gas leak. Bhopal's suffering continues, a warning to the world. The fight for accountability and safety is ongoing. The city's pain is a reminder of the cost of neglect. The story of Bhopal is not over. Its shadow stretches into the present. Decades later, Bhopal still lives with its scars. The abandoned factory looms over communities plagued by disease and contaminated water. Survivors battle chronic illness with little support. Compensation was never enough. The tragedy is a daily reality, not just history. Bhopal's story is a warning about corporate greed and failed safety regulations. It shows the dangers of weak oversight and the need for accountability. The legal and ethical failures after the leak compounded the original tragedy. The lessons of Bhopal are urgent in a world reliant on complex industry. Strong international laws are needed to protect people and the environment. The human cost of negligence is immeasurable and spans generations. The survivors' fight is for justice and dignity for all. Bhopal matters because similar disasters can happen again. The pursuit of justice is a test of our collective morality. The story of Bhopal is a call to action, demanding accountability and stronger protections. The world owes it to Bhopal's victims to remember and to ensure it never happens again. The legacy of Bhopal is a solemn warning for us all.